Could the answer to Battlefield 2042's dwindling player count be going free to play? And the senior design director of Ripple Effect Studios has commented on the XP farmathon that is Battlefield 2042 Zombies mode. Just the other day, we got our first news for the year on the direction of Battlefield 2042, and suffice to say, it wasn't really what any of us expected. I personally expected to perhaps not see any significant changes right away, but I did think we'd get a roadmap of future planned content for the game like Season 1, how DICE intend to fix the game, and maybe even an apology for how things have been handled. But surprisingly, at least to me, we didn't get any of that. Instead, we got a small patch with a few fixes that mostly went under the radar, and said patch also broke the renewal map on Xbox and PlayStation, forcing DICE to remove it from the map rotation. Not a good thing when you only have 7 maps to play, as it is. Now, the one surprise that did come with the patch, of course, was the Portal Zombies mode, which, depending on how you look at it, is either the best or worst addition to Battlefield 2042 ever. Now, I have nothing against the Zombies mode per se. It's a fun little mode, you know, if killing beginner AI bots is your cup of tea. But if you watch my little video I put out yesterday evening, you'll see just how easy it is to farm experience and tier 1 mastery skins in this game mode. How they thought this would ever be a good idea is beyond me. In my opinion, it completely breaks the progression system of the game. There are people out there who have put hundreds of hours into playing a specialist just to unlock that tier 1 skin, and now you have people farming them in a couple of hours. It just really, must be a kick in the nuts for those hardcore 2042 players out there who are still playing and enjoying the game. Of course, they just changed the XP earned in Portal as well, meaning that all official modes endorsed by DICE will give you full progression, XP, ribbons, you name it, and that's why it affects this Zombies mode too, because it isn't a custom mode. Justin Wiebe, the senior design director for Ripple Effect Studios, who make the Portal mode, commented this on Twitter. "I'm not going to lie, this one shouldn't have gotten through our review process. I think our desire to create a fun Zombies mode clouded our ability to see such a simple thing like the impact it would have on progression. I'm very sorry for the hardship this has caused." Shortly after this tweet, and in fact as I was busy writing this video, DICE have just tweeted out that they've removed the Zombies mode and replaced it with Gunmaster instead. So, problem solved, I guess. The funny thing about this is though, is if you recall the release of 2042 in early access, on day 1, you had people making these AI farming custom modes in Portal to farm experience, and DICE quickly shut those down by implementing limited XP within Portal. So it's kind of hypocritical of them then to implement a mode which is, let's face it, a bot farming mode. Anyway, bit of an oversight by them there, but case closed. So moving on, let's talk about Battlefield 2042 going free to play. In a recent video, I asked you all if small changes like implementing a scoreboard would be enough to bring you back to the game. As I understand, many of you have stopped playing, and almost everybody said no, it's not enough. Well, it looks like Battlefield 2042 going free to play could be on the cards. According to Tom Henderson, he says that EA is reportedly very disappointed with how Battlefield 2042 has performed and is looking at all options when it comes to the title. This is including looking at free to play in some capacity. Being 100% honest, I don't see any other way that DICE can claw back a decently sized player base without making the game free to play, and just maybe that could be the solution we all need. If you remember back before Christmas, they had a free to play weekend and we saw a massive influx of players. Now, they still have a Battle Pass system and online store in place that they could use to monetize the free to play community, and I'm sure that all of us out there currently playing the game would love to have an influx of new players. The only wrong they'd have to right, of course, would be the fact that countless players have paid big money already for the game. What about those players? How would they be compensated? But at the end of the day, if there are no players playing the game, then you aren't going to get your money's worth either way. So I certainly think free to play could be the way to go. Perhaps they'll go with a partial free to play solution like making Hazard Zone free to play, as they indeed should have from the very beginning. I think many of us hoped that DICE could implement some new content, maps, core changes to the game as well as so-called legacy features to win back the player base and breathe some new life into the game, because honestly I do have my moments in 2042 where I am having fun. If you forget the Battlefield name for a second, as a game I do enjoy my time with it, but when you compare it to the older Battlefield games, it still lacks in many departments for me. We also learned that DICE would be implementing a scoreboard. Now that sounds great, but they're only going to release the first version of it in February, so not only is it taking them almost 2 months to make a simple scoreboard, but they're expecting to iterate upon it, presumably because they won't get it right the first time, and indeed the initial mock-up they showed us lacked the deaths, leading tons of community people, such as Lossy, to do their own mock-ups of scoreboards to try and convey to DICE what it is that we would like. Of course, DICE were ritualistically mocked all over the Battlefield 2042 subreddit for this, being the studio with, over 20 years of experience in making FPS games, yet still being unsure of how to make a functional scoreboard. Now, I'm not trying to, sound like an asshole here. I really do want to believe in DICE and the Battlefield franchise. I wouldn't be here making these videos if it wasn't one of my absolute favourite franchises. But something just doesn't feel right over at DICE, and I'm kind of worried about them. Interesting stuff nonetheless. I'm looking forward to see what big direction DICE decide to take with the game and the franchise, because one thing is certain: if they keep on going down the current path, I don't think they'll have many players left at all, and that would be a very sad sight indeed. As always, leave me your thoughts down below. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.